So this may make the voice carry a little bit better. Let me know if it works. Let me check to make sure the sound count. Yeah. How do we turn sound cancel on? You hold it? Yeah, I pushed it. It's still green. But that's okay. So make sure the sound's okay before we continue. So we got a new option. Audio engineers, the video engineers told me maybe I need this. So hopefully this is a little bit better because it's now next to my mouth. I have a deep voice. So hopefully this will be a lot better. I don't have to worry about everything moving around or nothing like that. So we'll see if this is a lot better to just use a headset mic instead of trying to worry about all of these other types of mics or whatever like that, because like I said, I do have a deep voice, so it's hard to carry. A little close to the mouth, move it away a little bit. There we go. So I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin soaring and Trump's strategic crypto reserve. But we're going to talk about a lot today. We're going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to talk about why they're causing the market to come down. We're going to explain tariffs. We're going to talk about the history of tariffs. We're going to talk about Nvidia and Palantir could be at very, very attractive buy points right now. I see a lot of great things in the market for both of them. Palantir may have already got close to or at its absolute bottom. Palantir, like I've always said, as I said, I knew it would retract, but I was still expecting great things for Palantir in the future, great things for Nvidia. I'm still invested in both. I'm holding both. But Palantir could be close to the bottom based on several factors. Then we're going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk a little bit about some other coins. We got a great show ahead, so let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is where Bitcoin is today. Go talk about the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Now that's going to be different than what Trump already announced. We're going to talk about that as well. So if we look at the price of Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin continues to get rapidly accumulated by big players. When it drops into the low 80s. Every time we see Bitcoin drop into those 80s, we see whales, we see institutions, we see a lot of announcements from big companies like MicroStrategy, like BlackRock, that said that they're buying Bitcoin. That's very, very strong positive indicators going forward that Bitcoin is still a viable asset. It's still going to go up a lot, and we're still at the bottom. Now, if you remember what the four-phase market cycle is, there's four phases in any market cycle: real estate, crypto, stocks, whatever it may be. First, you got accumulation. Second, you have markup. Third, you have distribution. Last, you have markdown. Now, accumulation phase is when the rich, the elite, and the banks buy it. So if they're still buying, that means we're still early in the cycle. Now, I did some research. I looked back at the first real crypto cycle I've ever been through, knowing what I know now. Now, I've been in crypto in 2011. 2013, crypto, Bitcoin crashed. I panicked, sold. Then again in 15, I panicked and sold all my Ethereum. I had 2,000 Ethereum in 2016. There was a DAO hack. A lot of Ethereum was hacked from a DAO. At the time, it was like 20–30% of all Ethereum in existence or available Ethereum. So I panicked and sold everything. Oh, Ethereum's insecure, and I got out. But that was the last time I did that, because after that, I started understanding, why do I keep getting tricked by this? Why do I keep selling at the wrong times? Why do I continue to get scared, panic, and sell everything? Because of what the media tells you. That's when I discovered the four-phase market cycle. Talk about it in my book a lot. I say you got accumulation. That's when the rich, the elite, and the banks buy up assets. You got markup. That's when they start marketing it back to you to buy. Then you got distribution. That's when everybody understands what's happening, or they get excited, a lot of FOMO. People come in, buy up that asset. The big players start getting out at the beginning of distribution. They're marketing it back to the regular person, like BlackRock's doing now. We're going to talk about that. And then at the end, it's marked down. The big players are already out, or they've hunkered down for the long term. And then there's nothing else holding it up. It comes down. Now, these phases could be tightly in a few months. It could be over a few years. It could be over a few days. But that's the four-phase market cycle that's apparent in every single market. One of the examples I use is New Orleans. New Orleans after Katrina. After Katrina in New Orleans, they said that area would never come back, that chemicals have seeped into the ground, that the structure and the foundation of the earth would never again support any type of growth. A lot of people panicked and sold everything they had. 10 years later, it's one of the most bustling parts in the country. It's 20 years later now, but 10 years after that, it became one of the most attractive real estate deals in the country. They built a lot of great things. New Orleans is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States now because of that accumulation phase that happened after Katrina. The rich, the elite, and the banks came in and bought up everything. They built it up, then they marketed it back to you. New Orleans is a great place to come. Come to New Orleans. We're having a great time here because now they own it. Same thing's going to happen in LA with the fires. Those people are panicking and selling their houses. Rich, the elite, and the banks are going in and buying it up. That's a 4-phase market cycle. Now, because BlackRock, because MicroStrategy, because a lot of other big players are still in crypto and buying, that tells me we're very early. Back in 2016, if we look at the charts, June of 2016 was the Bitcoin halving. Now, if you go an entire year, a year around, Bitcoin was at about $2,500 a year after that. Now, we didn't see the big gains. That was a year, remember, the halving, this cycle happened in May of 2024. We're not even a year in. So we go 2016, we go all the way to June of 17. That's a year from that halving. Bitcoin was at about $2,500, $2,000. Now, but at the halving, it was at about $500, $600. So it went up. That was back then. The gains were a lot higher. We go up 20, 30% a day. But the real gains in that cycle were not over at that point. They came after that because Bitcoin continued to go up 10 more times. Remember, from 16 halving in June to 17, a year after that halving, Bitcoin went from around $500 to $2,500. That was 5 times gain. But then at $2,500 a year later, it ended up going another 8, 9 times. So we weren't even at the halfway point in that cycle. And that was also true for a lot of altcoins at the time. The halfway point was more, it was at about 12, 13 months after the halving. So we're still very early. Halving was in May, we're only 8 months, 7, 8 months in. So we still got maybe by the time we get to this summer, we'll start to see some real gains. On the screen, that's messed up. You gotta change, it's okay, we'll switch back. So the question is whether there will be a catalyst in that crypto conference on Friday could be the catalyst that we're waiting for. Now, for those of you who don't know, Trump has invited all the major leaders and all the major players of crypto. Should have invited me. I tried to get an invitation, but unfortunately, it had to be people who donated large sums to his campaign. I actually asked some of my friends how to get in there, but I didn't donate $800,000 to the Trump's election. So yeah, of course they're not going to invite me. But I'm not going to pay that much anyway. I may have paid 50 or 100, but I'm not paying 800,000. But maybe it's worth it though. I don't know. But yeah, so they're going to have it on Friday, and a lot of rumors are now saying that there will be a Bitcoin reserve announced that's separate from the crypto reserve, and that could be. And they're saying that that's what's driving the market right now. They're saying what's driving the market is that's why Bitcoin right now, I believe, is at 90,000. Let me see where it's at. The breakdown, we're at 88,000. We hit 90,000 earlier this morning. So they said the reason why we're seeing an increase in Bitcoin is because of that potential Bitcoin reserve being announced after Friday's crypto summit in the White House. Now, if we look at what happened in Bitcoin since the crypto reserve was launched, is that a phenomenon called CME gap happened. So on Friday, remember the CME is a Chicago Mercantile Exchange. They trade futures of Bitcoin assets, other commodities, precious metals, a lot of things that also the stock market trades, but they trade futures and they also trade commodities. So on Friday, Bitcoin closed at 85,000. So they don't operate on the weekends. So over that weekend, Bitcoin went up to 94. So when the players from the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, got to work on Monday morning, it was a $10,000, what they call a gap. That's called a gap up from the previous close. It's also called a gap in stocks, but there's a gap. So whenever there's a gap that big, what players tend to do is they say, well, it's no way this is sustainable. Let's short it down. So they all get together, short it down, bring it back down to what the previous close was or close to it. And that's what's referred to as closing the gap. The gap's been closed. And then after that point, Bitcoin's free to go up because there is no gap. They also create a gap in the other way, but that means that now we have a gap the other way up. So hope that will probably get closed here quickly, and then we'll see Bitcoin unencumbered. to go back over 100, well on the 150, well on the 200. Now, a lot of people say, why do you talk about Bitcoin? I thought you like XRP. I thought you like Ethereum better because Bitcoin is the market driver. It always has been. That's why I don't understand these people, XRP people, these crypto people, these whatever coin, Pepe or whatever. You cannot hate Bitcoin. Now, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but you can't hate Bitcoin and love another cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is the driver. At minimum, short term. At minimum, short term, Bitcoin will be the driver that's going to make your portfolio go up. You cannot discount Bitcoin and hate it and also love another coin. You can't do that. Bitcoin is the driver. Bitcoin is what sets the market. Bitcoin is what pushes everything up. It's a tide that raises all ships. Now, some ships will go higher than Bitcoin will. Some may go lower, but you have to watch Bitcoin. You have to see what the regulatory approach is. You have to see what's happening in the macroeconomics when it affects Bitcoin, because that is the market driver.
It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success.
We got 1,100 people, but we only got a few likes. So I need you guys to like the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. So we've seen, I also got somebody said I need to get I'm too tall to be bending down, but I did buy another stand for here, like this acrylic, so you can't see it, so it's gonna be right here starting next week. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin soaring as Trump's Bitcoin plan starts to emerge. Now, Bitcoin did go past 90,000 this morning. There's been a little bit of a retraction. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick revealed that Trump will more than likely reveal a Bitcoin strategic reserve on Friday at the White House Crypto Summit. So Bitcoin surged 10% in 24 hours, recovered from a volatile week triggered by tariff wars and regulatory uncertainty. The market cap bounced above 3 trillion. A lot of major altcoins, including XRP, including Solana and Cardano, are also surging along with that. Analysts suggest that this could be the bullish turn that we've been waiting for, following last week's crypto meltdown due to macroeconomic fears. Now, some Bitcoin supporters criticized Trump's advisors for prioritizing altcoins before Bitcoin. So I think that this announcement is trying to fix what he said with crypto overall. Now, if Trump's like me, somebody actually told me, they left a comment, and they said that I need to shut my mouth about Trump, almost like a threat. I don't hate Trump. I like Trump. I already told you this. I'll be honest, I voted for Trump. I'll just tell you, you can run, follow me if you want to. I voted for him for crypto and economic reasons. I don't get into all the other stuff. Like I said, I do this all day, every day. This is my life. This is what I do. This is what I do for fun. Everything outside of that is, I know it's important, but my function in life, I believe God sent me here to do this. So that's what I do. I don't talk about nothing else. I don't really get it. That's what other people are there for. So I did vote for him because of economic reasons and crypto reasons. So like I said, you can follow me if you want to. I don't care. But yeah, it's stupid to unfollow somebody because we didn't vote for. But because last I voted for Obama too. So back to what I was saying is that some woman put in the comments, she was like, "You need to shut your mouth about Trump." I'm like, I'm gonna still say negative stuff. I'm a realist. If he does something bad, I'm gonna say it. He does something good, I'm gonna say it. And that's for any president. I don't care who it is. Kamala Harris has some extraordinarily good qualities about her. And he also had some bad stuff. Trump has some good qualities. Nobody's perfect. No political system or party is 100% right. They both have issues. They both have parties. They're both more than likely manipulated by money and power. And a real person can see that and make a lot of money along the way. People that are clouded by that tend to lose money because they can't see past their biases. But also the woman went on to say, she said, this is a older woman. They don't understand what social media is. They still think it's the news. So she wrote in there, she said, "I'm going to report your channel for what did she say? I'm going to report your channel for reporting inaccurate news." Like, who she's reporting to. I mean, this ain't 1960 when you call the news. You put a report on there that was not right. And I need you guys need to put a retraction on editorial to retract that. I mean, this ain't the 60s. I mean, the news was accurate. She just didn't like it. So back to what I was saying is that I believe that Trump is now trying to fix what happened with the billionaires, the tech billionaires and the Bitcoin billionaires that got angry because he included XRP in that crypto reserve. I think that if you saw the news, I put it on my Instagram and other pages. I said that, look, they got angry because of what he did. Some threatened to pull support. Some threatened that they would do all these other things to lobby against him or whatever. So Trump was put in a position to where he had to say, well, I'm going to announce a separate Bitcoin reserve. These Bitcoin maxis are almost crazy. Now, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I believe in Bitcoin to my fullest, all the way down to my heart, and I have a big stake in it. But I'm not a maxi. I believe that there's a place in the marketplace for multiple coins. The Bitcoin maxis think that every other coin should be wiped out and Bitcoin is the only one. Now, that doesn't make sense. I don't get, that's almost an insanity. Like, why would you think there should only be one? That's cult-like behavior. That's the same thinking as somebody who goes to a party and sticks to that party no matter what, like they're in a gang. That's ridiculous thinking. It's ridiculous thinking. So Cardano jumped 50% after the announcement. There has been some retracement, but let's take a look at the XRP chart. See what's happening with XRP right now. So I guess we can't. Can somebody switch to the XRP chart there? Yeah, so the XRP chart, XRP remains in a strong upward trend. There's higher lows while the rest of their altcoins have been in a strong downtrend. That's a very positive sign for XRP. To me, this shows that institutions are still holding, the real retail investors still buying at these levels. We saw that XRP held a lot of its gains. Now, it took some losses, but it's still at I think it's at 251 still. A second. It's still at 251. 244, which is still a lot higher. A lot of people write me and they say, Armando, I thought you said XRP was going to go up. We started at 30, 40, 50 cents in November, middle of November. So this November to December is a month. December to January is 1 month, and then January to February is another month. So we're less than 100 days from XRP being at 45 cents. So a lot of people are up 400 or 500% in that time period. 400 or 500%. And people are, even people that's holding it said, what's happening? Why is it stagnant? What do you think you should make? I mean, in 100 days, people go their entire lives and don't make that much in their 401ks. People go their entire lives in their 401ks if they start late in their 30s. They don't make 500% return, 400% return on their 401ks. Let's say you start your 401k late at 35. By the time you retire at 65, you'll be extraordinarily lucky if you made 500%, 400% I mean, on that money. You'd be extremely lucky if that happened. But you made it in 100 days. And you're complaining. My grandmother used to say this. She said, there's some people out there that complain, they got a ham under one arm and crying or complaining because they don't have bread under the other. What am I going to eat this ham with? I don't have any bread. And everybody else around them is starving. My grandmother used to say that. You got a ham under one arm and crying about not having bread under the other. Remember, back then, hams were expensive, so. But a lot of people say, what happened to Bitcoin? What happened to stocks? Why is everything falling? So we're going to talk about that before we start. I want you guys to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Please like the video. We got Super Chat. I haven't got to 10 Super Chats yet, so we still can't do the Friday show. So I'm going to do a Super Chat right at $5. Let me see. So if we get to 10 super chats, I'll just start to go. I'll host a QA section and drop a play. Why is it not going through? Give me a second. Something's off here. Give me a second. Did it work? Nope, it did not work. Yeah, I do need something here. Like, this is crazy. Bent all over and stuff. But I'll have it next time. There we go. So I started right now. So there we go. So like I said, if you've been making money or whatever, or you like the content, please drop a super chat. Also, thank you for the super chat, James Brenton. I really appreciate that. So also, the CNC is open. Go to jointhecnc.com. We have a community. We have stocks, crypto plays, both stocks and crypto long term. We have swing plays. We also do day trade in there. But we also have classes, courses on entrepreneurship, stock and crypto trading, and also investing, and also real estate. So hopefully you guys can join. A lot of people have changed their lives in the CNC. If you're in the CNC, you've been making money, drop the money bags in the chat, and I really appreciate that. So I want to talk about these tariffs and why did it cause the crypto and stock market to go into a crazy downspin, right? The trade war just got real. Tariffs hit Mexico, Canada, and China. S&P 500 and NASDAQ dropped nearly 3% yesterday. And the Dow, it's recovering a little bit today, but the Dow was is on track to be the worst week since 2023. Appreciate the super chat, TS. Thank you for your past few years. I appreciate you, Mondo. Thank you, Jada Johnson. I appreciate that super chat. So it's recovering today. So let's take a look at where we are in the market. Where's this pen? I keep losing my pen. So the market right now is in a slight recovery because of all that tariff stuff. Because Trump did talk about the tariffs last night on the State of the Union, and we're going to bring that State of the Union up because I want you guys to know context and where we are. Play the State of the Union. I appreciate that. Is that Micah? I appreciate that. Duvalace. Good morning, Jose. I appreciate that. So let's play that video.
It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors.
Hey, mute my mic right now.
And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America.
So Trump did talk a little bit about, he talked about not having taxes on, or reducing taxes greatly, Social Security, income tax, and also overtime. Now, the reason I want to talk about income tax is because it's very important. He's also talked about raising tariffs on other countries to what it's called reciprocal tariffs. So it's called reciprocal tariffs. And what that means is that whatever they charge us, we're going to charge them right back. A lot of people don't realize this, but India, China, and all these other countries do charge us a ridiculously high tariff. That's why it's almost, it's weird that they're arguing with us over tariffs. I mean, India charged us 100% tariffs if you ever been to another country, go to Mexico, go to India, go even to Europe. How many Escalades do you see driving around? How many Cadillacs do you see in other countries? I want you to think about this. When you go to other countries, Do you ever see Cadillacs? The only American-made luxury car? Lincoln too, but Cadillac's only one really. How many Cadillacs do you see overseas? Think about this, for people who travel overseas, have you ever seen a Cadillac in another country? Ever? Appreciate the super chat, Randy. No, we don't see that. All we see is Mercedes, and over here we see Mercedes, we see Lexus, we see most of our luxury cars in this country are from overseas. But you go to Europe, you don't see that. You don't see any of that. That's because their tariffs are so high that they're prohibitively expensive to do that. To bring a Cadillac into India, you would have to pay 2.5, 3 times what the Cadillac is over here. So Escalade is $120 in the United States on roughly a brand new one at a low, mid-grade. So to get it to India, you'd have to pay $360,000 almost, and convert it over to their country. That's prohibitively expensive. That's what tariffs do, is that they stop. That's what they traditionally were meant for, to stop people from importing stuff into your country and reducing your own country's power. That's why tariffs. That's why we use tariffs in the 1900s. We use tariffs to stop other countries from flooding our country with cheaper products. Now, Trump has imposed 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, with an additional 10% on Canadian energy. We get a lot of our energy, especially in the Northeast, from Canada. Chicago, New York, up a little bit higher, Boston. A lot of the energy comes from Canada. So China has retaliated and said they're going to do a 15% tariff on U.S. farm exports and expanded restrictions on U.S. companies. Now, Canada hit back with another tariff. Markets are starting to come back today because we're getting, there's rumors that there's going to be Trump will eventually compromise with these countries, because he's not going to allow the stock market to continue to fall. Now, that's some insiders in the Trump administration are saying that Trump is willing to compromise, because the escalation is starting to rev up. And that's something that they don't want. Now, actually, the SP 500 is down slightly today. So it was up. The futures were up this morning, but now the market is a little bit down. So, yeah, it's a little bit down. The Russell 2000 is up. Gold is up. Crude oil is crashing. It's down 4% almost. So China responded to all this, said we're going to do 15% tariffs on U.S. farm exports. But we're also, they put on X.com. It's funny now that countries will fight each other on social media. We live in a brand new world. It's a book called Brave New World. It's one of my favorite books. But China's bold response says they're gonna fight to the end. And what the scary part was is that they posted on X.com, formerly Twitter, that if war is what the United States wants, be it a tariff war or a trade war or any other type of war, we're ready to fight until the bitter end. That's a scary statement from China. But China did also say, on another statement, that they're willing to return to negotiations if Trump is willing to do so. So that could have just been a statement to make their people feel like that they're not weak. But China, I believe, will have to return to negotiations, because it's very important that they resume talks with Trump, because a lot of their economy is built on trade. So Vivian Soto, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. So Trump's position, and he said in the address last night, is that during his address late night, Trump said tariffs would cause a little disturbance, but instead insisted that they're about making America rich again. Right? Insiders are saying that Trump will scale back some of the tariffs over the next week. So hopefully these stuff will be over, so the market can start to adjust. A lot of people are listening right now and they say, tariffs, what the heck are those? The only time I studied tariffs was in 8th grade history or 8th grade, economics or whatever. Now, tariffs really haven't been used in the last 50 years, not really, other than just, some small tariffs or whatever, but not really used on a large scale. Now, historic tariffs, for those you don't know, are when a country charges more money on top of whatever close that door. I can't. So whatever on top of whatever that they have to pay for that product. Let's say a car is $1,000. If a car is $1,000, they'll have to pay, so if a tariff is 20%, they have to pay 20% on top of that to the government, then the car is allowed to come through the port. So that's what a tariff is. So tariffs are extra taxes on imported goods from other countries. Now, the traditional reason for tariffs, I appreciate the super chat, Michael Gonzalez. Thank you, Romano, for the content. If you're in San Diego, I get a haircut. I'm going to hit you up for that, Michael. So the traditional reason for tariffs was to make imported goods more expensive, giving the people in the country an incentive to buy homegrown products. That's what tariffs were originally for. So tariffs were used more heavily in the 19th and 20th centuries, 1800s and 1900s, but this is the thing that most people don't realize. Now, Trump is saying, and a lot of other politicians saying that we should get rid of income tax. And people, that sounds like a shocking thing to say, income tax. Why would we get rid of that? But people don't understand the history of income tax. Tariffs were used in the 1900s. That's why we didn't have income tax, because the tariffs covered all the taxes. We charge people from outside the U.S. to pay for our internal operations, the federal government. That's how we funded these things. We didn't need income tax. We got all the money from them. So income tax first got introduced on a big way during the Civil War. The North said, look, we got to get some money for this war. It's an emergency. The government never lets a good emergency go to waste, like COVID. They do some stuff. That's the reason why they love emergencies or crises. Civil War came. They said, look, we're going to have to put a tax because we got to fight this war. If you want to live, if you want to be safe, if you don't want the South coming in and taking over, we need income tax. Of course, people hand it over because whenever you want people to hand over money, you just scare them to death. They hand over the money. But after the war was over, they tried to keep it. The people fought back, and it was eliminated. So another time, World War II came along. Well, Hitler, I mean, he's a bad man. He's evil. He's almost like a villain in a comic book. He'll kill all you and eat your kids. We need those taxes to protect you and the U.S. borders. Of course, people handed it over. They were proud to. I'm an American, and they handed over those taxes. But this time, the government never took them back. So what they need tariffs for? They got the money from the people. Money from the people is easier to collect because all you got to do is W-2 them. They make the employers report. They're going to report it. You can get the money easily, and it's consistent, it's dependable, and you can predict it. And regardless of the economic climate, you only have a 5, maybe 10% drawdown on taxes. Because the worst unemployment what could ever get really is about 8, 9%, maybe 10%. It's not going to go much higher than that. During the Great Depression, I think it got up to like 15, 20%, but that was the Great Depression. Normally the highest it's ever got is 10%. So your tax base is not going to drop much more than that. So you'll always have a consistent tax base. A war is not, let's say China gets into a war, they're not going to import products. So all that money's gone. So tariffs are less consistent, less dependable, less predictable. Income tax from the people is predictable. If China starts going around the tariffs, find some way to go around it, you can't do nothing to China except go to war. But if you hide your income tax, they'll put you in jail. You're easier to track. You're in the United States. They can use those laws to make sure you pay. That's why they switched over from income tax to tariffs. Now, this is all, look it all up. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. I could be crazy or I could be drunk. I don't drink at all, but I could be. You don't know. That's why you don't listen to people online 100%. You don't know what their axe to grind is or what their agenda is. So make sure you look all this stuff up. It's 100% true, but make sure you look it up to verify it. But so now Trump's saying he's going to give income tax to replace that. It looks crazy. What is he talking about? Well, yeah, but that's how it traditionally was in most of U.S. history. Tariffs were used to fund the government. So Andres Alvarez, I appreciate the super chat. Damien Munro, I appreciate that. CNN app, yeah, CNC app is coming. I appreciate that, man. So now, and people say, how does all this cause the market to crash? Well, tariffs, like we said, they're harder to collect. So people are expecting the United States to have more volatility in the tax base. Tariffs also create economic uncertainty because we don't know how people are going to absorb those higher prices. Now you go to Walmart, if you go to Walmart and everything's twice as high, because Walmart has a lot of its products from China. Now, how's the market or the economy going to absorb that? Reduce global trade. Maybe the money's not going to move around the world as much as it did. Decrease liquidity, therefore economic downturns in many countries, which will also affect the United States. Shivet, I appreciate the super chat. Higher costs for businesses. Like Walmart, tariffs will increase the cost of imported goods, forcing businesses to raise their prices or absorb the cost, or either a combination of both. A combination of both causes them to not raise salaries as much. So tariffs will propagate through the whole economy. Companies that depend on foreign goods, like automakers, tech funds, and retailers, are going to see lower earnings and further stock declines. Like a company like Ford can't get the products in, or like a Nordstrom, or like not Nordstrom, but I forgot the name of the country, but the military contractor. They can't bring in Boeing. Boeing's one too. They can't bring. Remember, Boeing, when they make a U.S. jet, 80% of those parts come from China, which is weird. Like, the United States can't build their own jet, which is dangerous. But so if they can't build these planes, both commercial and military, or they have to pay twice as much for them, their earnings come down, their profits come down, so the stock price starts to decline. So people are worried about that too. So crypto, people say, why did Bitcoin go down? Because crypto is highly, highly sensitive to macroeconomic uncertainty. Crypto is a risk-on asset. It means it's more risky. It's still speculative. Remember, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is still a speculative asset. I'm going to tell you this too. A lot of people don't like to hear this because it's just the truth. Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, every other major cryptocurrency is a speculative asset. What I mean by that, speculative is not bad. It means that we're investing in it based on its potential going forward, not what it's already done, based on its potential. So it has a Bitcoin, crypto, XRP. XRP is not used to transfer money yet, not on a big scale. Bitcoin is not used for anything. All of these things are speculative. We're buying it based on what it's going to do. That means it's heavily risky. So when things like this happen, people sell. Along with that CME gap, drug Bitcoin right back down to 85,000, regardless of what Trump said. Now, Trump's announcements, the one he did on Sunday and the one he's going to do on Friday, will significantly push the price of all those cryptos up. But because he said it on a weekend, the CME gap was there. We got the next day, he started talking about the tariffs. It caused a drawdown, which eliminated those gains. Now, if he didn't announce that stuff, we'd be down in the 70s. So we still got a bright future. We're still very early in all of these things. Now, I told you about the accumulation phase. Now, BlackRock issued a warning, and this is normally a sign that the markup period is starting. Remember, BlackRock manages about 4 to 6% of all U.S. wealth, 3% of the world's wealth, which is crazy. They just actually bought an interest in the Panama Canal. That shows you how much money, for billions of dollars. I think it was 23 billion. BlackRock issues a Bitcoin supply shock warning. They said that there's not enough coins for U.S. millionaires. Send it out to all their millionaire. They sent a report out to all of their millionaire clients. Victor and Fernandez, I appreciate you guys' super chat. Thank you so much. We'll talk about X bar at the end. In their report, they said that unlike gold, Bitcoin has no more supply when demand goes up. And let's break that down a little bit. Bitcoin has no more supply when the demand goes up. Gold, you can just go in the ground and dig it up. Now, the people that are against Bitcoin are going to say, well, there's only so much gold on the earth. We can only dig up so much. And the more we dig up, the more scarce that gold becomes. Now, there's two things that are wrong with that. Is that we can only dig maybe about maybe less than 1% of the Earth's crust. I think it's like way less than that. I think the farthest we ever got down was like not even 1%. So deep in the Earth's crust is a lot of gold. And you got to remember, there's meteors out there that are made 50% gold. So the gold is not as scarce as it seems. It's just scarce in the way we can get it. That means that with the technology we have today and what we have today, we can't get the gold because we have to get it from the very surface of the earth. And a lot of that's already gone. But as technology gets better, as reclamation technology gets better, we got better ways of getting gold. We can get more of it. Gold is actually a lot easier to get than it was when prospectors were doing it back in the 80s when they had the pans and stuff. We have technology, chemicals, all of the AI robots that get going out in the mines. We have a lot. We go deeper than we've ever went before. We have better materials that can drill deeper. So we can get a lot of that gold that we couldn't get in the past. But gold is scarce because we can't get it. But if some type of way we got a meteor that was full of gold, or the gold would no longer be scarce. So there is a way out there for us to double, triple, quadruple the supply of gold. It may be hard. It probably won't happen in our lifetime, but there is a path to do that. With Bitcoin, there is no path. It's impossible. You cannot go over the 21 million Bitcoin limit. There is no way to do that mathematically. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. There's only so much that's ever going to be made. And no matter what you do, no matter how far you go, no matter how good your technology gets, you will never be able to create any more Bitcoin. And that's what BlackRock says makes Bitcoin better as a long-term reserve asset than gold. Is that the gold market could be turned on its head if we got a meteor full of gold. And there's meteors out there like that. They have a lot of precious metals on there. Some made of titanium, some made of platinum, some are all diamond. There's meteors and asteroids out there that do have these types of things. And if we ever got one and got it back in it would throw the whole precious metal, whatever materials market in at a head. It would go, it would turn it crazy. So they say that because of that, Bitcoin is actually a better asset than gold. BlackRock said this. They sent a report out to all their millionaire clients. You can go on the website and see it because they posted it. They sent it to them first, then they posted it. So make sure they had that means that Bitcoin is scarcer and harder to inflate. So let's talk a little bit about these AI stocks, Palantir, SoundHound, and Nvidia. Before we do that, I need you guys to share live with 10 of your friends. Please like the video. How many people we got in here right now? We got 1,300 people in here, but only 500 likes. So I need you guys to like the video if you haven't done so. Please subscribe to the channel. Is the audio still good? Is this audio better than it was before? Because if so, I'll keep this headset. Because you can't even really see it on the screen. This headset's pretty good. Somebody says crypto and a creation of the intelligence apparatus. I'm actually posting a video today. Appreciate that, Demetrius. Thank you so much. I Fernandez, I thank you. I appreciate those super chats, you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I'm posting a video later this week that talks about, I posted another one, I'm going to expand it, about my theory. And this is a theory, I got multiple theories, that AI could have created Bitcoin. And I'm going to lay that out. I really believe that that's a good, plausible theory. Now, there's a bunch, I have several. That's not just one, but I think that that's just as plausible as the other ones. And I'm going to lay out my argument in a video, and I'm going to post it later this week. But so let's talk a little bit about Nvidia sell-off. We'll talk about Palantir, and we'll talk about SoundHound, this AI bubble that a lot of people think that we're in. Audio is good, so we'll keep using this. Actually, I like this better. It feels cooler. Yeah, AI, Trav says AI has been around a lot longer than people realize. AI, the discipline or study of AI was created back in 1956. In 2011, I was studying for my grad degree, and I had a class called Artificial Intelligence. It was a graduate class, which we studied how to program for AI. AI has been out there. If you look at Age of Singularity, one of my favorite authors and futurists, is really what I model my career after, is Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is really one of my most favorite people on this planet. Hopefully I can get him at an event one day. If somebody knows how to contact him, I would love to hear that. But I would love to have him at an event. And also Neil deGrasse Tyson. Those two I really want to have at an event one time. Whatever that fee is, I'll pay it. But Ray Kurzweil is a futurist, and that's what really got me into all of this, into technology. He had two books, The Singularity is Near, and Age of Spiritual Machines. Those two books kind of set my life to where it's at now. Then later on, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's why the futurism and the finance stuff start to come together. Those 3 books are the base of everything I talk about. Ray Kurzweil was an investor, but he's also a futurist. He made a lot of money on predicting where future trends, future technology was going. So I modeled my career after Ray Kurzweil. Those 2 books was a great book. So he's, hopefully I can meet him one day. And he's actually thinks I don't want to go down that path, but he's a brilliant, brilliant man. Those books are old, but I still read them every year. There's 3 books I read every year. Age of Spiritual Machines, The Singularity is Near, and also Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Every single year I read those 3 books over and over and over again. Also, 48 Laws of Power, and it's another one called The Last Babylon. I just like that book. So those 5 books I read probably every year at least once. The Last Babylon is about a nuclear war in Florida. And it's based in Florida, but the people never actually, they just see the mushroom clouds going off in the distance, but their community is not affected except by Roman gangs, and they got to figure out how to live without electricity and stuff. It's one of my favorite books. Yeah, Ray Kurzweil also thinks we can live forever, and he's trying to extend his life, so hopefully he can do that for all of us. So I want to talk a little bit about Nvidia and Palantir. We got 1,500 people here. If you're just new to this page, please subscribe to the channel. Also like the video. I'd really appreciate that. Also, if you're having fun here, drop a super chat. So Nvidia sell-off, is it a buying opportunity? And AI's biggest winner. Let's take a look at what Nvidia is doing this morning. When I checked it pre-market, it was up like 3-4%. But I don't know what's happening now because I've been, let's take a look and see where it's at now. So Nvidia has made incredible gains over the last 2 or 3 years. See? Incredible gains. And we started talking about Nvidia when it was at $80, right? Right now, Nvidia, why is this screen so small? All this stuff is too big for some reason. Let me see, zoom. Somebody got it at 150, that's why. There we go. So Nvidia, give me a second. Let me try to turn this into dark mode. Can't hardly see it. All right, that's the best we can do. So Nvidia, right now, is at 115. It's down by 0.5% this morning. It was actually up 2 or 3%, but pre-market. So Nvidia stock fell 8.5% after posting blowout earnings, Q4 full-year results, despite the revenue growing 114% year over year, which was crazy, right? To be honest, I told you guys I didn't think Nvidia would blow out earnings, and I'm not right all the time, So life is about being right most of the time, or majority of the time. I'm not right all the time. I miss stuff all the time. But if the majority of what I say is right, the vast majority, somebody keeps track of it, and they say I'm at 90, 92% right now. So, I'm going to lose 10% of the time. I thought Nvidia would not miss earnings, but I thought they would meet expectations. But they did. They actually excelled past it. Robert Kroll, one of my, my partner in crime with the Crypto Trends podcast, he said they would blow out earnings, so he was right on that one. So Fernandez, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the other super chat. So Nvidia, a lot of people are saying that Nvidia has met its point where it's going to start coming down. Investors are overreacting. Some people do fear that the AI is going to form into a bubble, which it will eventually. I don't know when, but it will. Some fear that AI spending will slow if companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta have to pull back based on the tariffs and the economic slowdown that could come from those tariffs. Others worry about cyclical downturns in semiconductors, but Nvidia's growth rate is still far ahead of any other mega cap tech stock. Now, analysts argue that Nvidia's leadership in AI and computing power isn't changing anytime soon. And they also say that Nvidia is so far ahead of their competitors that no competitor could catch up in the short term. And I agree with that. Nvidia is light years ahead of every other competitor, AMD, ARM, all the other semiconductor companies, and they can't catch up because NVIDIA has so much of an advantage based on years of research and development, years of building out or either investing in production facilities, years of research, years of market research, both market research and also product research. They're far ahead, and there's no way to match that anytime soon. There's no way to match that anytime soon. The reason why is because NVIDIA got extraordinarily lucky with all of this stuff. Extraordinarily lucky. And what I mean by that is that NVIDIA was a gaming company, more or less. What I mean by that is that when you use a regular computer, you don't need graphics. Not now you do because of all this other stuff. But let's say 10 years ago, you didn't need, if you had a just regular computer, they wouldn't even put a GPU in there. They just have a processor, right? GPU is a graphics processing unit. And what that does is that whenever you have a computer, right? So traditionally in a computer, you had one processor. So everything would go through there. So the graphics on the screen, the mathematics that are processing in the background, all this would go through one processor. What it would do is it would put a drain on a processor and cause a bottleneck because all this stuff's trying to go through this one choke point. So GPU people start saying, well, why don't we separate the graphic processing unit outside of the CPU, which is the central processing unit. We have two separate channels where graphics and any kind of rendering and videos go through this channel. And all the text on the screen, all the mathematics go through this channel. That makes everything much faster. Now, regular person doesn't need that, especially back in the days when you just had Windows or you just had simple graphics on the screen. Yeah, what you need that for? But that was very important for people who wanted to play games on their computer. So people who wanted to play advanced games with advanced shading, 3D graphics that looked more realistic, they needed GPUs because a regular processor couldn't do both. So they started buying NVIDIA chips. So NVIDIA started building GPUs that would work a lot better in parallel, that were a lot better at processing data, but the CPUs were focused on other stuff, right? They were focused on just getting the regular data through, not the graphic data, right? The more complex data, which was actually harder to process, right? So NVIDIA started working on these difficult problems. The CPU industry worked on the more streamlined problems. Over 10 years, NVIDIA ends up being light years ahead of them. Now, AI comes out. And really it started with AI too, but it also started with blockchain. I mean, AI was first, blockchain came second. People said, well, what's the difference in these two chips? They're both just processing units. Why can't we just reroute the computer and say, put all the data through this GPU because this GPU is faster, it works in parallel, it's more efficient, and it does things a lot better, higher rate. So people started making programs and applications that would, instead of sending all the mathematical data stuff, they just send it through the GPU where it could work faster and do a lot more better things. AI. Well, AI takes a lot of data. Why don't we just send all that through the GPU? So NVIDIA was at the perfect spot. So they started marketing more than just graphic processing units for gaming. They said, look, we can do everything now. Like the people figured it out, but we now can capitalize off of that. But now they're so far ahead, people can't catch up because nobody was thinking about gaming because gaming gaming has just recently became a multi-billion-dollar industry. Before Nintendo's, it was a small industry 20 years ago. Now it's big. Adults play games now. Back in the day, only kids played. Adults really didn't sit around playing Super Nintendo all day back then, unless they were didn't have jobs or something. But nowadays, adults play games. There are games that's out for adults. It's common that adults will play games. The games even developed for adults. So the gaming industry is a lot bigger than it was before. So now those because NVIDIA was able to get a jump start on everybody else, they're light years ahead. So yeah, NVIDIA will continue to go up. NVIDIA has a 5-10 year head start. NVIDIA will continue to go up for 5 to 10 years. Now I said there could be a drawdown. I don't know if it will be one. I don't know if it could be one. I don't know when it will happen if it is one. But there could be. And I say that because if it is a drawdown, you can do two things. You can sell, you can hold. I'm holding. But you can just know it could happen so you won't be panicking sell and then wait for it to go back up. There is no way, I think, and it's not financial advice, got to say this stuff, that NVIDIA cannot go up 3-4 times over 10 years. Mike's too close? So 3-4 times over 10 years. So the long-term growth of NVIDIA does make it an attractive buy at these levels. AI investment is still soaring. Investors with long-term AI outlook see this dip as a chance to buy more for the next surge. Now, when you buy this dip, you have to understand there's a good chance it could go down. There's also an equal chance it can keep going up. You have to understand that. So you may buy at these levels, drops another 20%. Then buy it again or whatever, do whatever you want to do. But you have to understand that this could happen. So we got two super chats. James Benton, I appreciate you so much. Pure Skin Solutions, any thoughts on FRL? FRL is supposed to collaborate XRP. The Flare token, I don't follow the Flare token. Be careful with those Flare token stuff because people will it's a lot of scammers using that to try to get people to connect their XRP wallets to receive their Flare token. Then they just steal all your XRP. Be careful with the Flare token. The Flare token is real, but a lot of people are using that as a scam to get XRP people to think they're going to get an airdrop or whatever, and then they steal all your XRP. So be careful with that. I haven't been following the Flare token news. I know it's out there. I know that they have some type of partnership with XRP, but I haven't been following it. I don't think it's very significant right now. But I'll look at it more and I'll let you guys know next week. But that's where I'm at on that now. Just be careful with that because there's a lot of scams out about that. So Palantir, that's the last thing we're going to talk about. How many minutes are we in now? Let me see. All right, so we got about 10 minutes. So Palantir stock is rising, while some long-term bears of Palantir are starting to turn bullish. Right now, Palantir actually, what the heck? This computer is so slow. I wonder why it's so slow. Palantir. So Palantir right now is up 0.5%. It's at 84. It came down. Palantir's high was at 128. So it's down 30%, maybe past 30%. Could be a drawdown into the 70s. Like I said, it could be one. Maybe even 60. I think 70s is probably low as it will go. But it could be a drawdown into the 70s. To the 60s. But it probably 70 is low as it goes. It's probably close to the bottom now. So Palantir stock is up 350% since 2004. We called it out at 6. A lot of you guys got it. If you got in at 6 based on one of these lives or being in the CNC, say, I just want you to put in the chat that I got in. I got in. Or if you put in the amount you got in at. I would like to. I really like to see that. I'm just trying to see something. Say, I got in at $6. I got in at 20. I want to see how early a lot of you guys got in from following along here. I want to see what numbers you guys got in at. Sound is way better. Remember, I just got to remember to keep it a little bit out. So he got in at 6. So a lot of people got in $20 because of what we talk about here on this here. So Palantir stock is up 350% since 2024, but a lot of people are afraid because they feel like it could be overvalued. It is pretty high. A long-term Palantir critic just upgraded the stock, which is crazy. So there's an analyst out there. I don't want to say his name. I don't like saying people's names because I don't want them coming back at me, because whenever I talk about, like a lot of times if I post on Instagram and one of you guys see me a video and say, do a response to this. A lot of times I will try to block the dude's face because I don't really want to get into that tit for tat and going after people. That's not the kind of person I am. But I do want to kind of like just say this person's wrong, but you also say the things that he was right about. I like to be like that. I don't like to be one of these people that's always looking for clout, going after people, arguing, being messy online. I try not to do that. I don't want to be like that. I want to be a person that's respected, that gives good information, and changes a lot of people's lives. All that other stuff, it can let that go. I live a quiet life here in Odessa, Florida, Tampa, Florida, and I live my life in a secluded community. I don't want all that stuff. So a long-term Palantir critic, like I said, just upgrade the stock. He believes that AI adoption is accelerating, and he also believes that there's something that a lot of people don't understand about Palantir. Remember, I always said Palantir would draw down, but it's still a great buy. Actually, at these levels, it's a good buy because at 84, Even if it drew down to like 70, you're still not that bad off. Like if I was going to get into Palantir, I would start dollar cost averaging in now, because we don't know if it's going to 70. Anything can happen. It can draw down to 60. There's no way to you to know that. But I think at these levels, yeah, it's a good attractive buy. But there's one thing about Palantir that a lot of people and naysayers don't realize is that Palantir works a lot with the government. I don't know if you saw the marketing videos. They work with drone technology, AI technology, bots in the military. They work with a lot of AI things that happen on both warships and planes and also on the ground with the U.S. military and other military or the U.S.'s allies across the world. So Palantir also has an AI platform. Now, if you look back at the history of technology over the last 20 years, I got out of college in 2005. I played basketball for a few years. I came back. And somebody mentioned that AI has been out a long time. I worked for a company in Nashville, Tennessee called EdgeNet. EdgeNet was an early artificial intelligence company. We worked on what's called expert systems. Now, this technology seems rudimentary compared to the AI now, but the AI that we worked on at EdgeNet was I'm going to explain the base way, is that when a person went to Home Depot and they said, hey, I want to buy some custom windows and doors from Pella and all these other manufacturers. All right, so we needed an AI engine to be able to tell you if what factory could make these doors and what dimensions you could choose. Because you can't just choose anything, because the factory machines and stuff don't work like that, you know? They like, you can't just say I want black windows in a door that's like a foot wide and 20 feet tall. They don't make that. So it had to be within certain limits, and those limits were developed into an expert system. And then when you tried to put them in, it would tell you, nah, you only got these choices. You got that choice. You can't put a door like that. That was called an expert system. It's a subset of artificial intelligence, and we used to build those systems for EdgeNet. So around that time, as AI was starting to get off the ground in commercial applications, there was a concept called big data. Big data was a concept in which companies at that time started to, because the AI was growing and could analyze more data and processing power was getting a lot bigger, they wanted as much data about customers and their industry as possible. That's when you started that data collection from people. They would try to collect any data point they get from you. But what happened is now companies are overwhelmed with data. That's too much data. On your phone, one company could have hundreds and hundreds of data points. Every time you go to a website, what website you came from when you came here, the links that you used to get there, what time of day you got there, what type of browser you have, what type of phone you have, what are your settings, what are the settings on your computer. All that stuff is tracked now. Before we would just put a cookie on your machine and track, this person was here last night. That's all we would track. Now they track everything. It's called a user agent. That's a set of data that gets passed to the website creator when you come to a website. It includes your screen resolution. It includes your type of browser you use, the type of operating system you use. In a lot of cases, they can even track the processors that you use, the MAC address, the IP address. All this stuff is tracked. And every time you come, it could change. So it all has to be tracked. So that's caused companies to have an be overwhelmed with data. So Palantir has created an AI platform that will take that data in. It will unlock hidden competitive advantages in that data, sales opportunities. It will increase cost efficiency in what you're doing, also make you have faster logistics across your enterprise. Now, nobody else is doing that. Businesses that have implemented this system in the early stages have gained a ridiculous, huge advantage over their competitors, because these insights are real time. You can enact decisions based on real time data coming in. Like something can change, for example, and you can change your product or service to match those changes in real time. You don't have to wait and get the data built. None of that, right? The AI boom is just beginning. Palantir is positioned to win this AI boom. It's the software side with AI chips. They get all the hype, and Nvidia still has a long way to go, but AI software platforms will be also big-time, long-term winners in this AI boom as well. So like I said, is that after the recent dip, could be a chance for some people to dollar cost average in. Buying opportunity before we see another surge, but keep in mind we could see further declines. Well, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for checking and coming in. We're still trying to figure out how we're going to do Friday, so we'll really try to do Friday. I'll give you guys 5 minutes to ask any questions. We did hit the target, so ask any questions you have. I'll answer them if I see them in the chat. And next, because we did it at $10, 10 for 10, on Monday, I will tell you about this big crypto opportunity that I see in the market that could go up 3, 4, 5 times in a short period. I'll tell you guys about that on Monday because we did finally hit that 10 for 10 super chat target. So Monday morning, I will talk about that. I just have to get it all together. I don't have it in this session right now. But because we did do it, I will tell you guys what the play is. It'll still be good on Monday. Actually, you'd be better off on Monday. Right now, it's not. But I'm telling you, this play is going to be very good for a lot of you. So somebody says, can you talk about XLM and HBAR real quick? XLM is a copy of XRP. Now, one of the founders of XRP or one of the stakeholders early on, people back in the early days, I remember people saying this. I don't know how much truth it is in it, that he stole the code from XRP and made his own. Now, there's some similarities in XRP and XLM, in the code base, how it works, and also in the structure of the tokenomics. But I don't know if that happened or not, but what happened is that XRP wanted to focus on banks, institutions, and worldwide global finance. But this is a copy of XRP that's been created, but it's been changed since then. And they're going to focus on emerging communities like Africa, like Latin America, to make sure they have access to send money around the world too, like almost like in a Western Union type fashion, right? Is that Western Union, for a lot of people that don't know, is very expensive. I don't even like doing it. My mom, she won't, I don't know why she does this, but I wish it was a simpler way to send her money. She's like, she's like, I'm like, why don't you just send it to the bank? I don't know how to do that. Like, what, you don't have Cash App? No, I don't have Cash App. Just send it to me, Western Union. Oh, man, I hate that. So you go online and you try to do it. They got a limit, $500. You're like, oh, man, how am I sending $1,000? Well, I got to go wait in line at Western Union, fill out a paper. You want to send $1,000, you want to pay, if you want to send it in minutes, it's $25. You want to send it in a day, it's $10. So I got to fill out this form, then that woman gets it, types it in, and then I give her the $1,000, give her another $25. She sends it over. I send my mom the number, and then she goes and picks the money up. Now, that whole situation is cumbersome. I hate it. I get mad. I was like, why don't you just get a bank? This is crazy. But I'm always happy to send my mom money. But the problem that gets me the most is not the waiting, the inefficiency of it. It's the $10 I have to pay. And some people say $10, that's nothing for $1,000. But the problem is that if you look at it like an investment, and I do look at everything like an investment, you are basically borrowing money from Western Union because you give them cash here. For the time they hold it, they are loaning it to you because there's no way they could send the cash over to Tennessee in a mail that fast. So what they do is they take your money, you borrow it for a period of time until they're able to settle that account. Maybe a day, maybe 2 days. But they just go ahead and because it's a loan, the person that receives the money is receiving a loan. And then they when they sell the accounts, they balance that loan out. But you pay $10 for that. To borrow $1,000 for hours or maybe even a day, you had to pay $10. You know how much of a ridiculous interest rate that is? It's ridiculous. If you calculate that out, it's like 10,000% over the year. So that's why I don't like doing it. But XLM also gives the opportunity to do that a lot cheaper. And a lot of times, small communities have to pay these. They're going to check cash in place. They're ridiculous fees. They're ridiculous fees. And I don't, check cash in places are predatory. I almost bought one, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. Because the money was so much, and I was like, man, I can't buy anything I think is predatory. I just can't do it. But I almost bought one, but I just couldn't get myself to go through with it. They were making a ridiculous amount of money. It was like last August. I almost bought one, but I couldn't get myself. My partner was talking about it. Look, man, we're not even going to work in there, whatever. But I just couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it because it was in an immigrant community. They were making a ridiculous amount of money. So any more questions? HBAR I think is going to do extraordinarily well in the future. The HBAR is not listed on a lot of exchanges yet, so we have to worry about getting HBAR listed. So with that being said, somebody asked about a qubit and quantum. Those are two quantum computer stocks. Now you got to remember is that we're very early in quantum computation. It's not like AI where we're seeing commercial applications. Quantum computers is still mostly in theory, mostly in testing stage. So we're years away from that. Like I thought we would start to see big gains in quantum computers in 26. I didn't even expect it this year. So actually a little bit ahead of schedule. Or if they are really, they could just be a marketing thing. But I believe that when we start seeing commercial applications of quantum computers, which we haven't, we'll start to see, it's mostly just testing. They're just testing it out in research. When we start to see commercial applications where companies are making money, we're going to see those stocks go up. And that's the last thing I'm going to say. So like I said, we will drop the play on Monday. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hope you got a great weekend.